A couple of days ago, Supercell announced something that honestly, I never expected. I mean, I'm not surprised, but I never expected Supercell to kill a global game. And there is one thing that I hope that Supercell learned from Squad Busters. This is a post that Supercell made announcing that Squad Busters development is ending and their final updates in December 2025. And they're going to close the game at some point in 2026, probably after the middle half of the year. If you're somebody who has played a decent amount of Squad Busters, I recommend reading this article. I'll link it below. And before I say anything else, I want to take a look at this picture right here. This picture was taken on Squad Busters global launch day, and I am sitting right here. You can tell from the back of my hair. My hair is like the same. There you go. I don't know. And this event, the launch of Squad Busters, was incredibly bittersweet for me because of the one thing that I hope that Supercell learns from Squad Busters. Before I talk about that, though, I just want to say that for anybody who has cared about Squad Busters in any level, whether you are a player or a developer or anybody else, I am sorry. This sucks. There were a lot of incredibly passionate people behind Squad Busters who really believed in what the game represented and what they could do with it and in the future of Squad Busters. And I'm so sorry that it didn't work out. And for any of you players that are playing it and love the game still or loved it at some point, I'm sorry to you guys. It is just so sad. Now, normally I would write a massive script and talk about every single point about Squad Busters and what I think they could have done to succeed and why I think they failed. But rather than do that, I've decided to just start recording. I have a lot of thoughts, but the more I think about it, it really comes down to just one thing that I genuinely think could have saved Squad Busters. And one thing that Supercell needs to learn, because I know people aren't going to believe me when I say this, but if you do not fix this one thing, your other games will fail too. Oh, man, that was a lot of emotion. I don't know if it came across on camera, but like I was really feeling that genuinely, like, oh boy. I don't think that Brawl Stars, Clash of Clans, or Clash Royale are safe. I don't. And I've been thinking about this for a long time. This isn't just something I'm coming up with because, oh, Supercell killed Squad Busters. No. You know how Dynamite in Brawl Stars, he's actually right over here. He wears a canary under his helmet. Coal miners used to bring a canary in the coal mine with them, so if there was any kind of gas that could potentially be dangerous, the canary would stop singing and die. That was their warning that they had to get out of there. Squad Busters is the canary, in my opinion. Squad Busters is dead, and that, to me, means that there is potential that other Supercell games are not safe. There is something going on. And I know that many of you guys are going to be like, Kairos, Clash of Clans, Clash Royale, like they're doing incredibly well. Even though Brawl Stars views on YouTube are like kind of in the trash right now, even Brawl Stars is having some pretty good success. And I am genuinely hopeful for Brawl Stars' future because out of all of the Supercell games, well, actually, I don't really know the Clash of Clans team that much, but between Brawl Stars and Clash Royale, there's one thing that Brawl Stars does that I feel like, my opinion is that like Clash Royale doesn't or has not, or at least they have not proven that they have been able to do this. And that is to listen to the community. And that is the one thing that I think killed Squad Busters. I can't tell this perspective from anybody else's but my own. So let me share my experience on Squad Busters not listening. And this all starts way back before Squad Busters launched. It even went way back before there was a public beta in 2023. Sometime in, I believe, 2021 or 2022, I had a unique opportunity to go to Finland and try out Squad Busters. It wasn't just Squad Busters. At the time, I was also trying out Moko and Flood Rush. Well, Flood Rush we don't need to talk about Flood Rush. Moko, I was really hyped for, but nothing caught my eye like Squad Busters. It was me and some other content creators sitting at a table, and Supercell comes and brings out these devices, and they're like, hey, try out our game. And all of our faces lit up. Here we are, a bunch of Supercell content creators across multiple different games, and we're seeing Brawl Stars characters and Clash characters and Heyday characters coming together into one awesome game where they get to like play together and stuff. Oh my gosh, our minds were blown. We were so excited. It is one of my favorite memories in Supercell gaming, honestly, because our whole universe just like expanded in a way. Like internally, my mind was like, this could be the biggest and best thing ever if they do this right. Our whole goal for this trip was for us to be able to give them some feedback on these 3 games and share what we think they could do to make them the next best games possible. We were hyped for Moko, thought it was going to be an excellent streaming game, and we're loving the direction that the team was taking it. We were not hyped for Flood Rush. We tried to give them feedback, but at the end of the day, we kind of told them, we don't know what you need to do to fix your game, and I'm sorry. Then there was Squad Busters, the game that we were most hyped for, and the game that we also had the most feedback for. Flood Rush was like, sorry, I don't know what to do with this game. Moko was like, you guys are doing great. We like this. Give us more. The Squad Busters was, we have very specific pain points for this game, and if you want this game to be your next smash hit, here's what you need to do. Feedback number 1. There's too little choice in squad building. The whole game is about squad building. Make it more about actually building your squad rather than RNG and, frustrating things like that. The second piece of feedback was, hey, there's a lack of PvP depth. We need a little bit more control. We need to be able to actually engage with opponents in a way that feels meaningful, and you can actually outskill your opponent besides just running away. The third piece of feedback was there are not enough variety in the game modes. You can't rely on just this one or these 2. You have to give us more game modes. Honestly, we left Supercell headquarters thinking this is going to be awesome. Man, if they take our feedback and they apply it and they change the game for the better, this could be awesome. We were so hyped for Moko and Squad Busters, and we just pretended like Flood Rush didn't exist. Then in 2023, Supercell announced, hey, we're going to open up Squad Busters for a beta for 10 days. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is hype. Let's see what they did to improve these pieces of feedback that we gave them. Oh boy. Was I very disappointed. Now, I don't remember the game perfectly from when I first play tested it in Finland and when we had the open beta, but I do remember me and Lex and OJ going into a DM and being like, they didn't do anything to fix the points that we gave them. They didn't add choice in squad building. They didn't increase the depth of PvP, and there was not any additional variety in game modes. Now, this was frustrating for us because our experience with Supercell typically is that they do actually a pretty good job at listening to their content creators for the most part. Well, okay, gosh. Our experience was that Brawl Stars typically does a really good job at listening to their content creators. I should just say that I haven't played Clash Royale in a super long time. I actually don't have that much experience working with a Clash Royale team over the past couple of years. My impression is that they have done a bad job at listening to creator feedback. Whatever, let's move past it. We're not talking about Clash Royale anymore. But as Brawl Stars content creators who are used to Brawl Stars listening to our feedback and applying it, at least for the most part, we were just flat out disappointed. We're like, okay, well, I guess if you guys don't care about making a game for us, that's fine. You see, I know that I am not the end all be all for games. I legitimately understand that. I know what games I like. And if Supercell wants to make a game that I don't like, that's so okay with me. Squad Busters never had to be a game that I felt like I really loved. Obviously, I want them to make a game that I want to play because I love Supercell games and I want to play their awesome games. But it was clear to me at that point that they did not care about the feedback that we gave them, and they wanted to go a different direction and reach a different audience, which is fine and whatever, and it was disappointing for me personally, but I can understand that. There are plenty of games out there that have massive audiences that I have no interest in playing. And what I took from that experience, from that beta, was like, okay, maybe I'm not going to be a Squad Busters creator, maybe I'm not going to play the game very much, and that's just fine. But then comes tons of feedback from other Supercell creators pointing out the same 3 problems. There's too little choice in squad building, PvP has way too little depth, and we need more variety in game modes. So when other people started agreeing with these 3 pain points, I was like, okay, well, maybe we're onto something here, and cool. Then the beta ended. I made a whole video outlining exactly these 3 pain points and shared my feedback and put it out into the world. And I don't know what happened. I mean, honestly, the only what I can expect to happen is that the Squad Busters team may have seen it or didn't see it and just thought, well, we don't have to make a game for Kairos. That's cool. We can make a more casual game. Then we have the Squad Busters launch. And you know what? Like I said, that was a very bittersweet moment for me because being there was so hype. By this point, the developer team had expanded greatly and they were oozing with passion and excitement for their game. And they were hyped for the global launch. And you know what? There were a lot of other creators that were there as well that were also super, super hyped for their game to launch. And that was awesome. That was the sweet part. The bitter part was that I knew I was not going to be playing this game. Squad Busters had pretty much just said, hey, we like your feedback. It's cool, but it's not for us. We're taking it in a different direction, and we're going to make this game for casual players. And once again, very bittersweet moment for me. So Squad Busters launched, and it did about how I expected on YouTube. You know, there was definitely an audience of people that were really hyped and excited about it. I even made some videos and made a series trying to, you know, reach the Squad League was at the time. And by the time that series was over, I was done with Squad Busters. I didn't want to keep playing it. It was not a game for me. If they wanted to make a game for me, they would have applied my feedback, and then I would have probably liked the game a little bit more. And that's totally fine. But it's funny because a lot of people are like, hey, Kairos, what's your honest thoughts on Squad Busters? And every time I would go to start writing a script for my honest review of Squad Busters after its global launch, you know that phrase, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all? I opted for that because I felt a little betrayed. I felt like, what's the point of me making this video? They're going to ignore my feedback. Like, what am I going to do? I'm going to make a video telling everybody that I hate the game and I don't like it. And here's all the things that they could do, but I've already shared that feedback before and they've ignored it. So like I don't want to rain on everybody's parade, right? At the time, there were lots of people who were making Squad Busters content, and the community, like, yeah, they had these pain points, but there was a community of people that did enjoy Squad Busters. It didn't end up maintaining like Brawl Stars did, or Clash Royale did, or Clash of Clans did. It did okay, and then it died down, but there was still a core audience of people who were interested in Squad Busters, and I didn't want to make a video being like, hey, you guys are wrong, because that game was not for me. It was for them. And that was just fine. It was a more casual audience, and I was totally fine with that. So I decided to move on and not really make any more Squad Busters content until later, when guess what? Squad Busters had finally applied the feedback that we had been given them. They added heroes to the game. They added abilities for you to choose which heroes you actually start with and your characters and stuff like that. They made deck building more interesting, or squad building. They added abilities that changed the way that PvP works and actually added depth into the combat. And they also added some variety into the game with their ranked mode, which I actually thought was really cool. They had a showdown mode, and you know, it wasn't as much variety as I was really hoping for, but they had applied that feedback. Well, here's the problem, okay? It was too late for them to do this. They took all this feedback that we had given them 3 years ago, and they had finally applied it when they realized, oh, we're not actually building like a super hardcore dedicated audience, because we didn't make a super hardcore game. We made a casual game. And so the viewers and the users that we are getting are casual players who log in, have a little bit of fun, and stop playing, and maybe come back, maybe forget it. So we made a casual game, and that's a problem. So maybe we should take the feedback that all the creators gave us to make this game for a hardcore audience and rechange everything and make Squad Busters 2. You might think that this could be awesome and great, but here's the thing. By this time, they had built an audience of people who care about Squad Busters. As it was, this was a little bit more of a casual audience, people that, you know, weren't as hardcore, but they were dedicated to Squad Busters. They really enjoyed what the experience was. Even if I wasn't their player, that's totally fine. They had made a game for a community, and that community loved that game. And then, rather than going to that community and trying to develop the game for that community and grow that community, they completely pulled the rug under their community's feet and changed the game to an extent that the game was no longer for those players. They built a casual game and then tried to turn it into a hardcore game, but their audience was casual. So you can't do that, because you have to listen to your community, and their community wasn't hardcore. Their community was casual. Now, I am super oversimplifying this, most likely. Honestly, after I stopped playing Squad Busters soon after the global launch, I didn't do or play it much at all. And by the time they actually rechanged the game and did Squad Busters 2.0 and added heroes into the game and stuff like that, the developers had pretty much already proven to me that they weren't going to be listening to my feedback and they weren't going to be making a game for me. And so I didn't even go back and really get into the game that much, because they had kind of ruined their shot with me. I'm not going to go out to a game that has left me so disappointed years afterwards. Or a year after. I'm not going to do that. And Supercell's audience had already been burnt out on Squad Busters. All the hardcore fans that could have loved the game after this Squad Busters 2.0 game update, those hardcore fans had tried it, decided the game wasn't for them, and moved on. And they were never coming back. And to make things even worse, the dedicated audience that was really enjoying Squad Busters at the time just had their game completely reworked to a point where it was no longer recognizable for them and they no longer enjoyed it because it was no longer a fun little casual game that you can pick up and just build a squad and go and have fun with your RNG and whatever. Something that I wouldn't enjoy, but the people that were playing it really enjoyed it. No, now it was all about PvP and all these abilities, and it was complex and it was made for, other people that other than the people that were actually playing the game. I think you guys get the point here, is that the developers of Squad Busters had a vision in mind and they wanted to go for it. They ignored the feedback of their actual players who were interested in it during the beta and decided to go for something different. And that's okay, and that's a bold move to do. But then when it was too late to apply that feedback, they applied the feedback and didn't listen to their current community about what they could do to build up Squad Busters for that community. So unfortunately, they failed twice by learning from their lesson of not listening and then listening to the wrong people. And this is a pattern that I have seen within Supercell. And this is what I want Supercell to take from the death of Squad Busters. Yes, there are new players out there that will enjoy your game, and you want to definitely make the game good and exciting for them, but you can't do it by sacrificing the game for the people who are actively playing your game. I don't want to go and play a game where I know the developers are going to do a poor job at listening to my feedback. Not when there are games out there that do a good job at listening to community feedback. I have been a longtime player and lover of a game called Old School RuneScape, and they apply community feedback better than any other game in the industry that I have seen. Even better than Brawl Stars. And this is my lesson for Supercell. To anybody that is at Supercell and is watching this video, I'm so sorry that things did not work out for Squad Busters, but it came and happened, in my opinion, because of a lack of listening to your community. If you want to make a new game, you have to make that game for your active and current community, at least to some level, or recognize that you're not going to have our support when you go and make something we're not interested in playing. I'm okay with you making some casual game if you realize we're not going to play it. You're going to have to find a new audience. And if you want to advertise for that and go for it, please do. You can make go make the greatest casual game that you ever can. Just recognize your hardcore viewers and players and gamers, we're not going to care. If you don't make a game that we love, we're not going to care. If you don't listen to us when you ask us for feedback, we're not going to care. You're not going to get me to come back to your game unless you prove that you can listen. And if you build something for a community, listen to that community. Ask them what you can do to help grow that community. Make features that they love and care for. Just listen. Just listen. What are you doing going to people and ask them for feedback and then not listening to it? I don't understand. In reality, this is way more complex than I'm making it sound. And I am so okay with Squad Busters ignoring my feedback because I'm just one player. And my feedback is not ultimately what matters the most, but I'm really sad that they didn't listen to their community's feedback. And maybe it's way more complex than that. Maybe listening to the community had nothing to do with it. I think that's wrong, but that's just my opinion. Oh, sorry for this rant, guys. I would have saved a lot of time if I would have just written out a script, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this discussion. This is sad news. This is sad. This is really sad. And I hope that Supercell learns from this.